Hello and welcome to another Wednesday vlog. The shorter show released on Wednesdays where I chat or, depending on your point of view, ramble about outdoor life, philosophy, business and everything as a forest school and bushcraft instructor. So today's thought is on mental health and primarily your own mental health, and how to move through life, business and work like a swan, gliding smoothly through the woods. And so what I'm talking about can be, for me, summarized in one word, which is a buffer. Now, a buffer is what you allow for, is essentially allowing for unexpected things to happen. And this can work across a number of different areas of your life and work. So it may be something like, okay, we are going to be running a session on fire lighting and cooking, and I think the cooking is going to take this long and I think the fire lighting is going to take this long. That means that I need at least this amount of time, and then you add another 15-20 minutes onto that. That way, if you overrun, then you're okay. There's that buffer in there that you can then absorb that, and it looks like it was all planned exactly right. Example of this was at the recent Bushcraft PPG conference. I was running a cooking workshop. Now, I thought when I did the application that I applied for 3 hours. For a workshop slot, that was 3 hours. But half an hour before the activity was supposed to start, I realized that I had 2.5 hours. And that all of my timings were going to be vastly off. They were going to be off by essentially half an hour, and we were going to be eating half an hour late. Now, this wasn't a problem because I had a buffer in there. I had an amount of time that I extra in the planning that I could fill. I had either things we could talk about, we could just relax around the fire, we could just let things cook a little bit longer. I could absorb that time, but at the same time, when something unexpected happens, we can then pull it back and we can make adjustments and still deliver what we promised on time. Now, it ended up not being much of a problem because actually we accomplished things a whole lot faster than I expected. So we actually ended up gaining 15 minutes in there. We can make adjustments on the fly and we were bang on time. But if you don't leave these buffers, then you are likely someone who is going to be terminally late. It's allowing an extra amount of time for getting somewhere. Travel time. Everyone knows about unexpected roadworks, floods, traffic, all that sort of stuff. It happens. And what is usually a consistent travel time can suddenly vary wildly. For me personally, if it's somewhere that I've been to quite a few times, it's local, it's within, say, 45 minutes drive, I'll generally allow 15 minutes extra travel time. So I'll leave an hour before. If it's a 45-minute trip, then I'll leave about an hour before then. And that means that more often than not, I'm going to get there early. But in this whole process, I'm going to be stress-free. I'm not going to be constantly looking at the GPS and the map and going, okay, I need to make up time, I need to go faster at this point, I need to try and make it, I'm going to be late. It's stress-free because you arrive, you have time to collect your thoughts before your meeting, your session. You can sit back, look up, look at the birds and the sky, take a deep breath, and then enter into what you were going to do with presence. And I don't know about you, but driving longer distance, particularly in traffic, can be quite stressful. So it's good to have that kind of moment of de-stress once you arrive. Let's go, okay, now we can move on with the rest of our day. So time is one of the big buffers that I would choose, and probably the easiest one to create. But the other big one is when you have your business hat on, or you're managing your personal life, and that is to have buffers around money. And if we look at it purely from a business point of view, you have certain overheads that are certain to go out, like you need to pay for insurance, you need to pay for site hire, you need to pay for whatever subscription, website hosting, all of that. That stuff happens, and it's pretty consistent, goes out all through the year. And then you have a few that fluctuate, like food and firewood and travel expenses, all of that sort of stuff, which goes up and down and isn't as consistent. But you should have a good average. And together, those are the running costs of a business. Now, those are the costs that, as a minimum, you should have a month's worth of those costs sitting in your business bank account. And this goes without saying, but it's probably worth mentioning anyway, you should have a separate bank account for your business. There's just no question about it. It will make your accounting life a nightmare, and your business will not do well unless you have a separate. It doesn't need to be a quote unquote business account. It just needs to be an account. It can be a regular easy access account that is linked to your business. But yeah, you should have that amount sitting in your business as standard. And the reason why is, if you are anything like me and you're working as self-employed or working for multiple different organizations, then at times you will have invoices that get delayed. You'll have payments that you're chasing up. Sometimes it's through no fault of the other organizations. They've just hit money problems, or one of their key office workers is sick, or just got lost in the email, in the ether, and for whatever reason it's late. Unless you have that buffer there, you can't cover the running costs to keep running your business. And then you start heading into the red, and it's difficult to claw it back, and there might be all sorts of penalties for that. So having that buffer in there, I'd say at an absolute minimum it should be 1 month's running costs. Ideally shoot for two. That way you can pay yourself as well. So when it comes to the end of the month and you're sending out all of your invoices, you can, while you're waiting for that invoice money to come in, essentially pay yourself, so you can cover bills, buy yourself food and all of those important things while you wait for those invoices to come in. So 1 to 2 months running costs at a minimum. Shoot for more if you can, and make sure there is plenty to cover in there. The other thing that I do when it comes to creating a buffer is that there are certain costs which appear annually, and these will be covered by regular savings pots. So you have say your insurance that's due on an annual basis. Now what I recommend is putting away money for that every month. So break it down into monthly amounts. But the key trick here is, instead of, as you think, okay, there's £300 insurance bill, I'm going to divide it by 12 and that will work out my monthly amount. To put a buffer in there, divided by 11 months. That way you essentially have an extra month's worth of buffer, which will help you if you either have to skip a month of putting money in, or, as is more likely in this economy, the monthly amount will go up. So your annual bill will go up. Whatever, they'll increase the premiums, they'll add a new service you want to take advantage of, all of that. So it's good to have that extra amount. So divide by 11, set aside money each month for that. Ring fence it, as they say in big money terms. So creating buffer in finances is really valuable, and you should have those buffers in your personal life as well. I know it's difficult and it's going to require some sacrifice when you're first starting out, but as an employee, it's kind of okay. You can kind of get by without having a buffer. I don't recommend it, but it is possible. But if you're working for yourself or running your own business, you need to be disciplined about this, because there will be times where you have a bad month. So, like July of this year, very wet month. I had 3 to 4 big events cancelled. A lot of money that was supposed to come in didn't come in. There's other months where, you just have a spate of illnesses. That's been this past month. I've had something like 12 to 14 different cancellations over the course of the month, and that hits you, your bottom line. And unless you have that buffer in your savings, unless you've been setting aside an amount of money in your bank account to cover you until you can get the next amount in, so you can work harder and bring more money in, you're going to be struggling, and it's going to be difficult. So self-employed business owner, build that buffer, build that financial buffer, and just look for other areas. It might be you stock up on more firewood than you think you need. You might include an extra activity where you think you've got enough. As long as you start building those buffers in, you reduce stress, and when you reduce stress, you increase your energy and you increase the ability to go out there and do good things. So there you go. That's my thought for the day. Hope it provides some value for you, and I hope this will help you lead a more stress-free life. It's still going to be stresses, but you want to reduce them wherever you can. Build in those buffers, make the most of every day, and I'll see you all next time.